G'day folks, and welcome to our backyard farm and aquaponics YouTube channel. No aquaponics today though, because we're looking at harvesting some fruit from our Bowen mango tree, or Kensington Pride. This tree was on the property when we bought it, so I can't tell you how many years old it is. I can tell you that we chopped it right back to the stump a number of years back, and all this here is regrowth and it's done really well for us. Up the top you might be able to see the odd mango in the canopy. There's a nice little cluster of them up there. So what I need to do today is to harvest those guys to get them away from the flying foxes or fruit bats and the ringtail possums, and also the pesky Queensland fruit fly that like to lay maggots in all our fruit. Now a couple of clips ago I showed you a little contraption that I'd lmade up using a limb lopper, which is basically a limb lopper with a flower pot zip tied to it. It's got a little rod that goes down to a handle down in the base there that you pull. That cuts the stem of the fruit, then the fruit falls off and lands safely in that flower pot there without hitting anyone on the head or damaging itself. Now the problem is trying to get that cutting edge in the right position, so it will cut the fruit, and then trying to catch it in that basket can be a bit of a problem. That's what I've been using up until now, but a very kind patron from our Patreon page, thank you very much Kate and her hubby, they've come up with this other little harvesting idea. I don't know if it's their idea or they've seen it elsewhere, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. I've used it myself twice on the fruit here and found it works very well. Basically what we've got is a juice container. This is a 3-litre one. It's got a big hole cut out of the side for the fruit to go into. This little slot here goes around the stem of the fruit. You pull down and then the mango falls down in here and it doesn't fall out. Now you need a handle, of course, so what I've used is a bit of 32mm PVC pipe, or 1¼ PVC pipe. This is actually left over from our first aquaponic build. All I've done is just zapped a couple of screws through either side of the neck there, and that's holding the bottle nicely in place. So that's all I've had to do. Now most of you folks may not have a bit of 32mm pipe laying around, so I'm going to show you how you can knock one up using a broom handle or tool handle. Now with this one here I've marked out what needs to be cut out, pretty much all the same as the other one. So I'll do that quickly and then we'll pop the handle in. So I'm just using a little utility knife here as always. Try to cut away from yourself. Hope I don't stuff this up because I don't have another bottle I can use for this. It's a little bit easier to use the scissors on some of these cuts as well, just so the knife doesn't go too far. Cut this little window out. And of course if you're using a little picker like this for smaller fruit, maybe you don't need such a big window or such a wide slit up here. I don't think, you know, mangoes are the only fruit you could use a picker like this on. Be interested to know what you use yours for if you decide to make one, down in the comment section below. Just bend this last little section up, chop him off. So there we go, we've got the little picking unit itself. Now what I am going to do is I'm just going to mark thirds just around the neck here. So just roughly thirds. We'll go round about there and round about there. And with the utility knife, I'm just going to make a bit of a cut. Now the reason being is this orifice is far too wide for the handle. So by making these cuts so that we can actually bring these little bits of the opening in. It's got a firm surface to put this on. So I'm just going to cut down just past the thread. And of course you don't have to wreck a tool handle. You could use a long branch if you have something laying around. There we go. Now in the middle of each of these sections, I'm just going to pop a dot, and that's where I'm just going to run a drill through to begin with, just to make the next bit a little bit easier. So all I've got here is just a drill bit, smaller than a screw that I'm going to use, and I'm just using a very short screw. It doesn't have to be very long. These are just leftovers I found in my little screw tray. So I'll just run this through. And from there what we're going to do is just pop the handle up through there. It doesn't matter if it comes through a little bit further because the mangoes are so large, they're only going to sit to about there. So I can bring it in a little bit and just zap my first hole into the handle itself. So I'm just going to start off this screw in the container to make it easier to find the hole in the handle. And away we go. And then on to the next one. Now because there's these cuts here, they will overlap it a little bit. So I'm just going to squeeze that one into the handle and again run a pilot hole through. And in goes the screw. Put it up nice and tight. And now to the third one. So just going to squeeze these little tabs in. Push that down towards the handle and run the drill through. So there we go, there's the little fruit picker all done. It looks a bit rough around the edges here. If you wanted to make it look a bit prettier, you can maybe run those cuts up a little bit further and wrap some electrical tape around there, something like that. Or another idea is you could maybe bring out the diameter of this stick here using some electrical tape and then screwing through onto that. I mean, seriously, if it does the job though, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I dare say you'd get at least a season's worth of pickings out of something like this. And what it'd cost you, a couple of screws and you know, branches are free if you got them laying around, and this would normally end up in the recycling bin anyway. So there you go, I hope that helps a few people out. So what I thought I'd do today is use this little jobby to harvest some fruit. I'll give you a bit of a look at that with a couple of cameras set up around the place. So I thought I might start off with some of these large ones at the top of the tree. Pull him down. Now for fruit number 2. Oh, there we go. So there's mango number 2, a nice sized bit of fruit. As you can see, there's a fair bit of sap running out of where the stalk was broken. So that's something you've got to keep in mind as well. If that stuff lands in your eye, it can sting quite a bit, just something to keep in mind. And it can also discolour the skin a little bit. But anyway, this one can go in the tray and we'll get cracking on the others before the storm comes. So now I'm just going to do a few of these. That's a nice big fruit. Trying only to take the largest ones. There's a small one there, I might try and leave it on. We'll just see if we're lucky enough to do that. Oops, no, it came down too. This fella over here. So I'll just get into these ones over the top of the aquaponic shade cloth. My assistant Maya will remove them for me. There we go. Now some of those ones over the aquaponics don't quite look large enough. There's a couple right up the top here I might get though, if I can work out. Oh, got him. 2 for 1. So I'm just going to try and get these last few off before the thunderstorm hits. And then I might have to finish this clip off tomorrow, I think. So number 1. It's a bit hard to see this one, I can't see him through the leaves. I think that's him. Number 2. So there's the 37 mangoes we took off the tree today. I'd say there's at least that much there again that we could harvest. We might leave it a week or so before we do take any more off though. The possums and the fruit bats will get a couple, but that's all right. These guys here will just sit on our dining room table on a couple of sheets of newspaper just to ripen up because we've run out of tray space. And then from there, whatever we don't eat straight away will be processed and then popped in the freezer. Generally what we do is we chop the cheeks off the mango and then use a cup to scoop out the flesh. And those scallops are then placed into plastic bags, the air drawn out, and they're frozen in the freezer. And then we can use them whenever we want, puree them up and stir them through yogurts or smoothies. So thanks again to Kate and hubby for sharing the mango picking idea. It did an absolutely fantastic job. I did end up getting Maya down there to help me pull the mangoes out as I was standing on top of a barrel. It just made the job a little bit easier. If you do want to be kept up to date with further mango harvests or other backyard goings on, or maybe even the aquaponics, all you need to do is hit that little subscribe button down there and check the little bell icon, and you'll be sent a notification whenever I upload a clip here to the YouTube channel. You can come along and say g'day. I do hope you're all well and happy and that your own gardens are booming, and I'll catch you next clip. Cheers all, have a top one. It's starting to rain now. See ya.